it kind of gets him, well, a lot more help in the mirror to be playing Bug. And Abrupt Decay is just very good there.
He's playing the full 4 Abrupt Decay.
So Brandon Large's deck, like I said, very similar in a lot of ways to the modern Jund deck. It plays 3 Liliana, plays Bloodbraid Elves, Dark Confidants, Deathrite Shamans, Tarmogoyfs. Where it changes from the modern version is really very subtle. He has 3 Hymn to Turoks. That's about it. Otherwise, we're looking at a modern deck here.
Right, exactly.
And I guess a Sylvan Library.
Yeah, but other than that, a Scavenging Ooze,
one Scavenging
not
Ooze,
much else.
Everything else modern legal, other than the mana base, which has certainly gotten better.
Right.
So you have C2 fetch-ins from Brandon right away. And to be honest, this Jund deck, in my opinion, is the kind of deck which I would be very excited to be playing in a modern tournament. Jund, at least in modern, is known as the best fair deck out there.
Yeah.
By quite a margin.
It definitely is. It's kind of defined the best fair strategy for a good number of years now.
Yeah, for those of you just joining us, like when we say fair is that Jund is not doing anything broken. You know, it's not show and telling Progenitus or Emrakul into play or Omniscience. You know, it's not creating 100 mana. It's casting creatures, attacking with them, and casting removal spells all at face value. It is brutally efficient at doing so. So Brandon fetches to Swamp, got one of his 2 lands stifled when he double fetched. So I think that stopped him from making the turn 2 play he wanted to. Ryan Forsberg made a 3rd land and made a Tarmogoyf. So now what we're going to see here, Brandon Large does have 3 Abrupt Decays in his deck. So he will be able to deal with Tarmogoyf through counter protection. He will cast Dark Confidant on 2 mana. This is off a Swamp and Voreth Stronghold. Ryan, by the way, on a 6-card hand, Bob's going to stay on the battlefield.
Yep, for the time being, Bob is in play. I feel like this is a bait spell from Brandon. I think he cares more about the Tarmogoyf in his hand than this Confidant. But he would obviously like it to live too.
Just 2 damage from the Tarmogoyf, so that would put Brandon to 16. The thing about Bug Delver, it does not have as much removal for creatures on the board, so this Dark Confidant might stay here for a while.
Right, so the only kill spells that Ryan Forsberg has, 4 Abrupt Decay, 1 Ghastly Demise, 1 Dismember, and the Demise, of course, cannot kill Bob. It does have the non-black clause on it. And Ryan just adds another Tarmogoyf and wastes the Swamp.
Alright.
So Bob flips him, dropping Brandon to 14.
Right, so what Forsberg might have to worry about here is we do, with the double Tarmogoyf, there is 1 Maelstrom Pulse in Brandon's deck, that mainstay of Jund decks, I suppose, in different formats. Yeah, he does have, so he has his own Tarmogoyf, he has Lightning Bolt, he has a Hymn to Turok, and a pair of Lilianas, a Bloodbraid Elf. More cards he's really going to cast this game. The mana denial strategy is really strong against Delver style deck. I mean, against Jund.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, 1 Wasteland sets Brandon back so far, and as we can see, he has all 3s and 4s, and even 2s are pretty expensive right here.
Abruptly decay one of the Tarmogoyfs. That unfortunately grows the other Tarmogoyf, so he saves himself 1 point of damage.
Yep, but importantly,
we have our Tarmogoyf die.
That's maybe the best invention I've ever seen. If not, it's close.
Yeah, maybe about 2 or 3, 4.
So here's the Bob trigger. That'll reveal an Inquisition.
And the draw is Sylvan Library.
That's importantly though, that's not a land.
Yeah, it does not look like Brandon has an additional land. So once again, he's in that territory against Delver. His life total will continue to be taken away.
Yep, and Ryan Forsberg just loves playing these aggro control, these tempo decks that take control of the game early with a creature and ride it to victory.
Yeah, I mean, in Legacy, that's certainly a tried and true strategy here. And so Brandon able to make a Tarmogoyf of his own. It looks like it's going to be able to get around counter spells. It's going to get Ghastly Demised though.
Yep, I think Brandon figured that if Ryan didn't have a removal spell for the Confidant, he wouldn't have it for the Goyf.
Right, so that's that one of Ghastly Demise is the one that can kill Tarmogoyf and not kill Dark Confidant.
Yep, so pretty unfortunate for Brandon. Looks like they're having a chat right now. Not sure what it's about.
I want to say Brandon may have felt as though the turn had already been passed.
Oh, because Ryan started untapping?
Yeah, that'd be my guess. So yeah, Ghastly Demise, a very good 1-mana kill spell, kind of like a 1-mana Doomblade in the format. Certainly later on in the game, it becomes a 1-mana Doomblade. one of the best, one of the better pinpoint removals in Legacy.
Yeah, it definitely is. The difference between 1 and 2 mana in Legacy, on the surface, it doesn't seem like a lot, but in reality, it's huge. It's a gulf. It's vast. It kind of renders a card like Go for the Throat close to unplayable, but Ghastly Demise very good.
Right.
That's why you see people play Innocent Blood. That's why you see people not playing a two mana kill spell unless it's something like a Brother.
So it was deemed that Ryan had started his turn, so he's going to have to spend a mana main phase to Ghastly Demise it. He won't get to do it on end step.
Brandon, a lawyer, maybe using that to his advantage here.
Sure. So Tarmogoyf, it's close enough. Puts Brandon to 7, now to 5. And remember, it's not as dangerous against this Bug Delver deck because it doesn't actually have burn. Brandon's still not hitting his land, though. I mean, what Brandon has to worry about is that perhaps Bob's going to kill himself. You know, Bob's going to enter chump block mode here.
Right.
So a Force of Will from Ryan hits the Tarmogoyf.
And I think Bob will be in chump block mode here.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't reasonably take 3. Brandon has to discard. He's going to discard Lightning Bolt.
Wow.
4th land from Forsberg. Yep, and there's a chump block. And Forsberg will pass the turn.
And Thoughtseize, not what Brandon needed. He needed these cards on the first few turns of the game.
He's going to go for Hymn to Turok. That'll get the lands out of Forsberg's hand.
More importantly, they'll put the sorcery in the graveyard.
Yeah, it does make Goy for 4 or 5. It means that if Brandon draws a fetch land, it's not actually going to be the land he's looking for.
Right.
Ponder.
Great draw from Ryan Forsberg. He'll get the best of the 3 cards.
And he'll swing Brandon down to 1, make a Nimble Mongoose pass the turn.
And that'll be all she wrote for Brandon Large, I believe.
Yeah, I don't think he doesn't seem to have a draw in his deck. He draws Scavenging Ooze now. So really an unfortunate series there for Brandon, not ever hitting his 3rd land. That's probably too. I would say a below average draw from a Bug Delver deck.
Yeah, definitely. I would say a below average draw from both players. Neither one really had the opening they needed, and I only wonder if Brandon led on Tarmogoyf, if that game might have been a little different instead of Dark Confidant. So as the player's sideboard, we can take a look at what they might have to bring in here. Ryan Forsberg, in the board, he has Extirpates, Deathrite Shamans, Thoughtseizes, Submerges, Ghastly Demises, and then a smattering of one-offs, some Engineered Explosives, Golgari Charms, Edict, Spell Pierce, Liliana of the Veil.
But I think Submerge will, it's one of those matchups where it's going to be an excellent card. As we kind of saw, the weakness of the Jund deck is that it's kind of spends its first 2 turns not doing very much.
Right, and I was talking to Brandon yesterday about his deck. He was loving the Deathrite Shaman. Said it was the best card in the deck by far. Very good card. But I tried to talk him out of playing 4 Bloodbraid Alpha. I couldn't do it. He still has 4 in the deck. Tried to tell him that Legacy is a little different than Modern.
It's such a powerful card. It's not necessarily the wrong play.
It's not, but there are only so many expensive cards that you can play in Modern, or in Legacy rather. And I feel like Brandon's deck is pushing that envelope with 3 Liliana, with the Eternal Witness, with the 4 Bloodbraids. It's pricey.
Well, I think the biggest thing which makes it a pricey deck, as far as it's considered like its mana, isn't so much the 3s and the 4s, but it's the fact that the main curve of the deck is 2. And so you normally are, you can't really start casting 2 spells per turn until turn 4, and that's why 1 Wasteland can make it so maybe you never are casting 2 spells per turn, and as a result you don't really get to empty your hand, and so the worry is, you really need to maximize your 1-drops here, and he has a fair number of them. He has Deathrite Shaman, Lightning Bolt, Thoughtseize, Inquisition.
Yeah, if he was able to lead on the Deathrite Shaman, that game would have been way different.
Right. So cards that come in from Brandon's sideboard, he does have a Pyroblast. We'll almost certainly see that in this matchup. Outside of that, he has 1 Choke he could side in, which is I'd say is probably pretty good here.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
Nothing else particularly enticing. He may choose to run Kitchen Finks instead of Liliana of the Veil.
Yeah, I have to imagine there'll be some Finks in his deck afterboard. It's a great defensive card, really good at stopping a Nimble Mongoose, one of the few cards in Legacy that trades with a Nimble Mongoose.
I mean, it's still true that Liliana is pretty decent in the matchup too. It might be that Bloodbraid Elf is the card you'd side out here. It's not something you'd like to side out because it's such a great card in Jund, but I can certainly see not running all 4 of them post-board.
Yeah, I definitely agree, especially since a lot of the times it's going to hit a discard spell, and that's not really what you want to be hitting when you're casting a 4-mana spell. So Brandon Large will be on the play for game 2, though. Expect him to maybe mulligan a little more aggressively now that he knows what his opponent's playing.
Right.
How about the 1 life from the Loman? In Brandon Large's board. Do you think that card's good in this matchup?
No, this seems to me if you want to go longer against the deck, maybe against a control deck, Loam would be something you'd be interested in. I'm not, like, what he has going on is that he has 1 Volrath Stronghold in his deck, so he has the ability to start, it's kind of a miserly thing. He has 1 Loam, 1 Volrath Stronghold. That I suppose is a plan. It's a little
ambitious of a plan.
A little ambitious to put it together, but
it happened. Yeah. So what you're saying is that you think Brandon is more like the control role?
Definitely.
This matchup.
I mean, and Jund oftentimes. I mean, Jund switches its role. It's really a value. It's a value deck. I suppose. Yeah. Where Brandon get to select his opening hand, he would love to have an opening hand like with 3 lands, a Bloodbraid Elf, and 3 Abrupt Decays. That would be a good hand.
Yeah, that would do pretty well against Elrus.
Right. Like, it's boring, but that's probably like that would fulfill the role he wants in the matchup.
Right. Swamp, Forest, Mountain.
Swamp, Forest, Mountain. Yeah. I mean, we can have dual. Yeah, probably you'd want all the basics on top of that to make sure you don't get wastelanded.
Right. 1 Lava Claw reaches in Brandon's deck. I find it interesting that's the man land he chooses.
As opposed to Raging Ravine, he has gone with Lava Claw reaches.
Yeah, or Treetop Village even.
Right. Yeah, I suppose Treetop would be the go-to land here.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he wanted another dual land and said, hey, why not put it into play tap?
He has found room for 3 wastelands in his turn deck.
Seems kind of ambitious in a deck that needs its mana so much.
Historically, the mana base has been the weakness of Jund. Brandon Large going to 6 cards here.
And we'll see if Ryan Forsberg keeps his hand. He was on 6 for game 1, but that didn't really stop him. I see 3 lands, what looks like 3 lands in Ryan's hand. Not sure about the others, but it looks like that's a keep. Doesn't look like the face of a man who's mulliganing.
Yeah, last round, game 1, Ryan Forsberg was the one on 6 cards. So this time it's going to be Brandon Large's turn to try to win on 6.
Right. I would say that the Jund deck almost certainly operates better than the Delver deck on 6 cards. Jund deck only needs a few spells. Ryan Forsberg, on the other hand, has things like Force of Will, has situational cards like Stifle and Daze that can often be dead going into, an awkward game when you're on 6.
And Force of Will is pretty bad in this matchup for Ryan. Jund always wants to 2-for-1 you, so when you're having to 2-for-1 yourself, you're just really playing into Jund's strategy. There's typically not a 1 spell that you have to counter out of Jund. All their spells are doing the same thing. They're slowly grinding.
Right. And I see 1 land for Brandon Large, probably a keep. And learning a lesson from last game, he'll crack that fetch land right away.
Question is, let's see if he gets a basic. He's got to worry about the fact that Forsberg may have a wasteland. Right. And I believe Forsberg does. He's going to get Bayou anyway.
It looks like he's getting that because he does have a Deathrite Shaman as his turn 1 play. So a little more acceptable.
The question is that you could have gotten Swamp.
Right.
So yeah, turn 1 Deathrite Shaman. Great 1-drop from Brandon Large. He has another Deathrite Shaman as well. So Verdant Catacombs will be from Forsberg's play. And there we see your favorite, Bloodbraid Elf. And he will get Inquisitioned. With the Inquisition of Kozilek, we see Tarmogoyf, Tarmogoyf Diabolic Edict. 2 wastelands, a tropical island, and 2 abrupt decays. So 3 kill spells, Tarmogoyf, 2 wastelands. I have to assume he's taking the Tarmogoyf here. It's going to be hard for Brandon Large to battle through all this wasteland and abrupt decay. Getting up to Bloodbraid Elf is going to be difficult.
It is, but if he ever gets there, the abrupt decays can't take that out.
Right, and this is one of those situations where I think it's really unfortunate that Brandon chose to not fetch a basic.
Yeah, if he had a basic Swamp in play right now, he would be in a little better shape. We'll see if Ryan Forsberg chooses to abrupt decay right now or what he wants to do. He drew Dismember, it looks like.
So more removal. Brian with 4 kill spells in his hand and 2 kill spells for lands.
Dismember actually really good right now because he can cast the Dismember and Wasteland. That's probably the perfect draw for Ryan. We'll see if he takes that line or if he uses one of his Abrupt Decays.
Well, we might worry about... Yeah, Abrupt Decay is... Dismember is just a worse kill spell than Abrupt Decay in this matchup. With the exception of, I guess, Bloodbraid Elf. He's in a Wasteland and Dismember. Yep, he will opt for that. That'll put him to 14.
Yeah, and Brandon Large bricking on land again.
Yeah. And, that really, it's really unfortunate that he didn't fetch for basic there, otherwise he'd have another play of Deathrite Shaman.
Oh wow, and
there
Delver
goes Delver's
off
Secrets.
the Thought Scour.
And still no place for Brandon. Stuck on land.
Wow, Ryan Forsberg
flip off
proves
Spell
what a
Pierce.
heater is.
Yep, and another Wasteland swings for 3. Brandon's at 16. Brandon needing some help now.
Okay.
He draws the basic forest.
That's a very good
excellent.
draw.
He will cast another Deathrite Shaman. That one's going to get Abrupt Decay. Yep. Remember, Ryan Forsberg with no lack of removal spells in his hand. It has another Abrupt Decay and a Diabolic Edict and a Spell Pierce. So should be able to deal with most cards, creatures, and non. So Diabolic Edict here.
So he still has an Abrupt Decay. That's the one removal spell he's holding back.
Brandon to 10. If Brandon draws another land, he can make Kitchen Finks possibly, though that land will probably be very temporary. And Deathrite Shaman out of Forsberg's deck now.
So multiple people on the Deathrite Shaman plan here, and it's only round 3.
And bad lands from Brandon does not make the Finks castable.
No, he's going to have to cast a removal spell right here.
Right, I think he's on Abrupt Decay. The question is which creature to Abrupt Decay, and it's like a pretty close. Pretty close, I would say.
Yeah, it's a tough choice. I think it has to be the Delver, just because it's going to take chunks out of your own life total.
I mean, Deathrite Shaman will do the same. Is the problem. I mean, I don't think he really cares whether it's doing it using combat or not. So I think as a result, yeah, it's probably the Delver. But you can't be happy that you're leaving a Deathrite Shaman around either.
No, definitely the more powerful card going long. He wishes he had a Lightning Bolt, but he hasn't drawn one yet.
Bad lands into play.
So there's the Abrupt Decay for the Delver swing, and Ryan has no responses. Card's uncounterable, so can't do much about that.
Yep. And pass second, yes. Ryan, quick on the Wasteland. Remember, there are only 3 basics in Brandon Large's deck. And we have another bad land.
Okay, so it looks like he might be able to stay
We'll
on
go that
3
into
mana.
IOK. So no sense in Forsberg to Spell Pierce this.
Right, he knows Brandon doesn't have another play.
So it's Abrupt Decay. So just drawn yet another Abrupt Decay, Spell Pierce, and Submerge. This certainly, well, not too bad. If Brandon Large can get the green mana to start casting the Kitchen Finks, the biggest worry is that if Forsberg has double green, he can get the Finks before they persist.
Right. So we'll see which one he chooses here. I don't really know what the pick is. I think it might be Spell Pierce.
Yeah, it's probably...
Take the card that is not redundant.
Well, the reason he's going to take Spell Pierce is because the thing Brandon Large really needs to do, great draw by Forsberg, is get rid of Deathrite Shaman.
Yeah.
So you don't want, when you draw that kill spell, you don't want it to be Spell Pierced. So Brandon Large at 6, Forsberg just, like I said, great draw on the Wasteland, and then the Ponder as well.
He'll shuffle those away, hoping to hit a creature to increase his clock a little bit. Brandon Large, though, not out of this. All he needs is a land.
Yeah,
he has an Abrupt Decay.
He'd prefer to draw the basic Swamp. I think it's going to be tough, even if he does draw the land. Forsberg just has so much more game going on.
He does, but it's all a reactive game.
So pass. Brandon Large with Maelstrom Pulse. Okay. Puts Brandon to 4, and Brandon has one more turn to draw an answer.
Oh, and the Nimble Mongoose will probably lock that up.
He draws Wasteland of his own. It's not... No, then should have no place. All right. Ryan Forsberg defeats Brandon Large 2-0. Bug Delver over Jund.
So congratulations, Ryan Forsberg. He has 1 loss on the weekend so far.
Right.
He moves to 3-0 in the Legacy Open, and combined with his record in the Standard Open, let's see, that's 6-0. He 8-1.
Yeah.
He's 14-1 on the weekend. It's not too bad.
Not doing too bad. So I think right now, the worst part of Jund has always been its mana, and I don't think this match was any exception. Jund deck, great deck in Modern. If Modern had Wasteland, I'm not sure Jund would have been the best deck at the Pro Tour. And in case you're wondering why, this is why. The triple Wasteland draw from Forsberg, almost unbeatable.
Right.